Cowspiracy. All right. So Kip Andersen is back. I'll do a quick little Q&A. He also has a exhibit set up here at 311. Are you? 311 towards the corner here. If you are coming here for Ron Weber, give them a taste online. 10 must-know tips for content marketing for natural products. That's coming up next in about 15 minutes. So he's going to get set up now, and we'll turn this over to Kip so he can answer any questions you might have.
Anyway, we'll get right. Does anybody have any questions? Because we only have a few minutes. Yeah. Do we have any legal blowback? Fortunately not. It was very scary, as we saw after we interviewed Howard Lyman. The whole interview, we actually talked about moving to Cuba, honestly, for a little bit when this film got released. It was scary. He scared us. He really scared us. I mean, I talked to Will Potter being on FBI in this, but it was just how the film did. We realized we have to do this. If we don't do anything, we just sit around and be scared. That's what they want, and we're all going to be dead anyway. So the risk of not doing something is greater than the risk of doing something. So, but there's fortunately been no, it's all been incredibly positive, so it's amazing. Yeah.
Coming over to you, microphone.
For communities that are food insecure, what are some solutions to help communities, especially communities of color, to transition to food?
Yeah, our new film is called What the Health coming out, and we go into that very briefly. That's an issue. They're called food deserts, but I live in San Francisco and in Oakland. They have these food deserts, and there's some strong activists that live from that community that are vegan, and they show this is the way to do it. Whether it's making time to go to bulk, there's a great website called Plant-Based on a Budget. If you go to their website, you can see how to live for one person $20 a week. Actually, no, there's a family of 3 of them, $20 and going totally vegan. Let's go into, say, like a Costco or one of these places where you buy in bulk. You buy beans and rice, and it's a full recipe initiative. So there's different opportunities for that, but it's definitely an issue. And that goes into more politics and deeper than just being vegan.
Be on GoFundMe for the Buddhist Vegan Society, so I can get my website up and running. I was actually kicked out of my Buddhist sect by the leader of the organization at the headquarters for pontificating about the merits of vegetarianism to fellow Buddhists.
Yeah, go figure.
And the Buddhist says, anybody who eats meat is no disciple of mine. But you see, they're afraid that if Buddhists think they have to be vegans, that they'll all stop practicing Buddhism and they lose all their members. So I just recently gave 5 of these beta DVDs called Glass Walls by Glass Walls to my friend to get out of his rent. He comes back 2 weeks later and gives me back all these DVDs. He says nobody would watch it. And this has perplexed me. For 42 years I've been advocating a vegan diet and nobody wants to hear it. And I finally woke up to the reality of the fact that the reason why nobody wants to hear it is everybody's addicted. It's like they're on a drug.
So we are
don't we have to use a different approach if we're dealing with drug addicts?
That's where we actually explore, it's a good question, because we explore that in our next film, What the Health? And it is an addiction. It's an addiction to animal flesh that has been going on increasingly so, especially to the secretions, milk and cheese. It literally has casomorphins in it, which is the same as morphine, similar to morphine. And the thing about this addiction is a society addiction. So whereas drugs, illegal drugs, they should be illegal drugs. It's looked down upon society, whereas this, it's accepted to the point where your family, a lot of people disavow this only vegan, and it's not supported in the community. So not only is it physical addiction, it's also communal addiction, and it's one that goes back many, many generations. And we explore that, and I can't get into that now, but it's an interesting topic that definitely watch What the Health as we go into that. It's very true.
Where's it coming out?
What the Health is coming out at the end of January. Stay tuned. Follow us.
I really
really appreciated the sprinkling of overpopulation information in your documentary. I run a Facebook page called Environmentalists Against Human Overpopulation. I used to actually work with Michael Clapper and Howard and John Robbins and co-founder of Save LA way back. But I moved on to this topic because I feel so strongly about overpopulation, and I've spoken about as little as animal agriculture, if not less. And so I'm curious, just as, you know, we want the world to become vegan and it would solve many problems, and I don't think it's really ever going to happen just because people aren't really going to stop reproducing. So I'm curious just to get your input on the overpopulation issue, and if you think that these can blend, and because I think it really needs to be spoken about together.
So Keegan, actually, the co-producer and co-director of this, he sterilized himself at 23. He is strong, adamant about population. The big thing is I feel we do hear a lot about population in general. Right now, this is getting to be a really hot topic, animal agriculture. But what's interesting is that if the entire population in the planet was vegan, and it actually is a reality, it is becoming a reality. Maybe not 100%, you know, there's still racist people, there's still societies that have all these things, civil rights, there's still issues, but it's transformation that's happened at a global scale. Veganism is happening at a global scale, the transformation very, very fast. And if the entire planet went vegan, the planet can support they say upwards to 12 to 14 billion people if everyone went vegan. So, as we say in the film, it's not only a population issue, it's an animal population issue. That's what we have to focus on. People focus on we have too many humans. We have 7 billion humans, but we have 70 billion farm animals that we raised and get killed in 1 year. Your humans live a certain life with 7 billion, but when you have to raise an animal from you know, a baby cow from, you know, a few pounds to 1,000 pounds in less than 12 months, 14 months, the amount of natural resources. So we have to look at overpopulation as a global animals, not just humans. And so that's the way to focus of population. Even when your work, that's the population. It's the animal, the farm animals that are out of control, and it's the humans what our choices are. So I feel that's the most powerful way for transformation of population, is to first worry about the biggest problem, the biggest disease, which is essentially animals destroying the planet. But it's true though. Vegan's very happy.
How do you feel about alternate forms of animal protein, cricket farming, for example?
What's interesting, like I'm also an ethical vegan, and I believe anything that at the core. And so one example of that, because I get asked that a lot. One, it won't feed the population. And you can imagine this entire thing would be a factory farm of crickets. Crickets have their own life, an amazing life that they have. And in Japan, and I'm not sure if it's all Asian cultures, but in Japan, if you have a live cricket in your home, it's a sign of good luck. And you do anything you can to keep it alive. If you have a dead cricket in your house, it's a sign of bad luck. So imagine whoever's doing these farms and they're raising and killing. I mean, to feed just a small amount of protein, millions and billions and trillions of crickets, what that does to, it's a bunch of killing when you just don't need to. Plants have all protein in it, and the whole thing is the protein that we go into what the health as well. Plants have more than enough protein. I don't even worry about my diet. I get more protein than I need. I just ran an Ironman without any change to my diet. I didn't take supplements. Keegan's been vegan 16, 17 years, hasn't taken one B12, one supplement, and he's got his blood tested. You just need a variety of foods in the farm, but I'm not for this. Sustainably, it's viable. Crickets can eat all sorts of junk and they can have it that way, but on global scale, yeah.
Keep going.
Do you have any thoughts about how people who live in third world countries where eating fish is ingrained in their culture, like when they live in fishing villages, how can people like that learn to approach a vegan lifestyle?
You get asked that a lot. Well, what about the indigenous cultures, the middle of Brazil and the Amazon? we're not talking about that because people they'll what about these innocent? Do you live there? You know, we're not. They don't have a DVD player. They don't have Netflix. We're not talking about them, and they're living with nature. You know, as an ethical point of view, I don't agree with it. But we have friends from these indigenous cultures that actually, through people sending this message through these cultures and going down the Amazon. There's a lot of vegans within there that they don't. You know, they come from a spiritual background. But we're not preaching to them, and no one's preaching to anyone. They're doing their own thing, and that's what 1% of the population. And we actually have an exciting new project coming out beyond What the Health. Next year we have a film called Seaspiracy that focuses completely on the oceans. Has anyone seen The Cove? It's like The Cove times 10 because it goes on every single place around the planet, and it's going to be very powerful. And the other one's called Raft the Amazon. There's a group of 5, we're announcing it next week, a group of 5 young 20 to 25, they're building their own homemade raft, and they're rafting the entire Amazon. And they're all vegan, and they're going to explore, they're going to tell the story of the Amazon, what's happened with the Amazon from the actual cultures. It's going to be a YouTube series, full TV series, and movie, and that's going to be exciting for you to watch, and that will show some more of the story of that. Yeah.
Hi, I have a little bit of a different question. I always wondered how Leonardo DiCaprio got involved with Cowspiracy.
That's a good question. Right when it came out, right when it launched it was obviously before Netflix. It was surreal because we thought it was fake, because every now and then we get people say this is who it is, and we got a call from his right-hand woman, who's Jennifer Davison, and said he watched it, and it was which was really exciting, almost more so than that. Does anyone know Darren Aronofsky? The last film he did was Noah, but back in the day he did Pi, and that was such a huge thing as a filmmaker. If anyone hasn't seen Pi, watch it now, but to realize at the time how groundbreaking that was, and then Requiem for a Dream. Anyway, Darren Aronofsky watched Cowspiracy, and while he's watching, in the middle of watching it, called Leonardo DiCaprio and said, this is his buddies, he says, you have to watch this movie. He watches this movie, and he's the most environmental person that I know, and it's not just saying it, he really is. He's hardcore. He watched it and was blown away, and he at the time wasn't even, I don't even believe, vegetarian. Now, I believe he is. But he's so cool and so true to really sending the message that even though he was still on his transition to going vegetarian and vegan, he knew this film had to be seen. So he said, I want to take this on and give it to Netflix because this movie has to be seen. He's the real deal. And he came on as honorary producer. Some people say, oh, he has a bunch of money. He came on as an honorary producer and got us on Netflix around the world. So big hero that was awesome.
Thank you so much. So Kip Andersen, everyone, Cowspiracy.
Thank you. I have a few DVDs, and also we did a book that delves deeper than the film, because that's what the book does. And it's called Sustainability Secret, and I'll be over in that booth. You can sign those if anyone else. I only have a few of these, but
He's in booth 311. Thank you so much. And next up is our next